Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of
Shoot Your Shot. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Thanks for coming back. I'm Claire.
I'm Georgia.
And today we have with us a special guest.
Look, first, can we just take a second? Look how amazing the jacket
He looks
is.
dope.
I know.
Thank you.
So
I
fire.
thrifted this like
So fire.
a few weeks ago.
That's
literally.
crazy. It's so nice.
Thank you.
He looks good. You look ballin'.
you do.
Probably
Thank you.
this is the best fit we've seen on the pod for
Yeah,
sure.
honestly.
Oh, I'm
no
honored.
shade
Thank
to
you,
our
thank
other
you.
guests.
Thank
but,
you,
like,
thank you.
This is the best
I was
fit.
like, what do I wear today?
It makes me want to like do better. In a good way. In a good way.
You guys look amazing, so
Thanks for telling us more.
Anyways, let's introduce our guest. This
Yes.
is Reinhardt Kenneth.
A fashion and celebrity photographer. Literally amazing. I know we always say everybody that we have on this podcast is really good because they are, but like your work is incredible.
It's so unique.
Yes.
It like stands out against everyone else's because it's so different. If you guys have not seen his work yet, please head to his Instagram or website because
Yes.
it's wild. It's so cool.
Yeah, wait, quickly plug your Instagram just in case.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's at Reinhardt Kenneth, ReinhardtKenneth.
Yeah,
perfect.
And it's www.reinhardtkenneth.co, not com, co.
Co.
No M.
.co.
No M.
Dot co.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now while you guys are listening to this, you can stalk him.
Please.
But
Don't
no,
murder me.
we are.
Just don't murder me.
Oh my god. I watched this thing earlier before I got here, but like some like Japanese pop star that got like stabbed like 10, 20 times.
Oh my
gosh.
god.
And she didn't die.
Oh,
Wait,
And
what?
like the guy who stabbed her is like free now.
What?
And they were like, oh, it's only because he was just frustrated.
What?
I was like, great.
I
Well
have so
then.
many questions. One,
Yeah.
Literally, same.
I love that that's what you were watching before like, getting in the zone for the podcast.
It just came out. It was either that or mermaids. So I was like,
Oh my god, and she survived? That's insane.
I know, that's like, wow.
Damn.
Honestly, I don't think that
Okay.
would be me.
Wow.
I think like one little like cut on my arm and I'm like, I'm done.
I know, same.
I'm such a baby.
Same.
Yeah.
But no, with that, I think we are so excited to have you on this podcast because, like Claire said, you have built such like a unique brand and name for yourself that I just want to, I just want to dive in deep, like hear about how you even created that and where you even came from and how you came to LA and like how all of this happened.
So I come from a very fashion-forward background. I grew up, with my parents like running a textile store. My mom soon became a fashion designer. She's actually pretty fucking incredible. She's like a world-renowned fashion designer now, and her clients literally include like Lady Gaga and Ariana Grande and Janet Jackson and Nicki Minaj and Blackpink and like royal families and shit. So it's like my whole family is my whole family is in fashion.
That's so cool.
And growing up being around so much fashion, I guess you can't help but think that way and live that way. But literally one of the first things I remember doing growing up was drawing. I think my mom at one point said like I didn't even like start speaking until like a bit later, and I was already drawing.
Really?
So I was always an artist. I think I always grew up an artist, but for the longest time I felt like I didn't know how to fully express myself and really like just like really get my work out there in the quality that I wanted until I started photography when I was 14. So I picked up the camera when I was 14 and I was like in that like weird dark teen angst phase.
Yes.
And I picked up the camera at that age. A month into doing it, I was featured in Vogue Italia.
Wow.
At 14?
At 14,
A
yes.
month in?
At 14,
Whoa.
yeah.
Oh
Which
my
is like,
God.
there was like a whole submission thing back then, and like I did it, and they like saw something in me, and they like start featuring me. The late editor-in-chief, the amazing like Franca Sosani, who's like named as one of like the best editor-in-chiefs of Vogue of all time, who passed like a few years ago. She featured me on her Instagram page when Instagram wasn't even like Instagram yet. When I was 16, I was featured at the Louvre in Paris.
Wait, what?
And Art Basel, Miami. And I guess what I'm trying to say is all these things sort of was like the universe and God's sign was just telling me that this is what I'm supposed to do, and that I had a place in the world, and there was so much in store for me, and and I just sort of started doing it and never really looked back, because it's like it was that phase where everyone had photography as a hobby, and I think I just went a little further.
Well, it sounds like you were meant to be in
yeah.
that, it sounds circumstances were all aligning because this was what you were meant to be with your passion.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
So
like
beautiful.
I feel like I'm in front of like a fashion god right now. I'm like, whoa.
I do that.
I love it. I'm like, yes.
No, but
I'm like, clean out my closet, make me look better.
No, but it was just a pretty validating experience being so young at that age, and suddenly doing all of this.
So maybe we should do a 2 truths and a lie with him.
I was just thinking that.
because
Yeah,
that's
that
like
would be fun.
Okay, you explain
so
it.
we do a segment, 2 truths and a lie, where you tell us 3 of your biggest accomplishments in your career, but one of them is a lie.
Okay.
So
But-
2 are true, 2 are actual accomplishments, and 1 you just make up.
But we have to try to guess to see if we can guess the lie.
Yeah. So we're gonna guess which one is not true.
Okay, and they have to be accomplishments?
Yeah,
or projects you've worked on, like
something
things that
you're
you've
proud,
done.
projects that you're proud of being a part of.
Like if
or
you've worked with like a brand, or
something
like you've worked with someone.
directly involving your career.
Yeah.
Within the fashion industry.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I did an exhibition that was fully inspired by my work when I was younger, completely. So it was like I was just referencing my younger self. So that's the first one. The second one, I did a month-long campaign in Europe. And the third one is, I don't know, shooting a Harper's Bazaar cover?
Ooh. Okay. These all sound.
I want to say the third one is a lie.
I feel like I'm gonna do. Wait, what was the second one?
Month-long campaign in Europe.
I don't know. That seems really believable, but also like I feel like
The other ones were specific, and the second one's not.
I'm gonna say
but
I'm gonna do the month long in Europe.
I think the third, Harper's Bazaar, is a lie.
The second is a lie. I've never been to Europe, even though my work is very.
Wait,
I know.
really?
I know. It's kind of criminal because it's like everyone's always like.
Oh my god, I'm literally taking.
feel
Everyone
like
used
I
to be
can-
like,
like,
you shouldn't be in LA. You should be in
like
London.
Milan or something. Yeah.
I know. It will happen.
Oh my
I felt
gosh,
kind of biased
same.
because I knew you did the Harper Bazaar one because
Well, yeah.
that's why I was like, I
Yeah.
can't
I
say
said
it.
that because you hesitated at the end.
Yeah.
You were like, I don't know. And I was like, oh.
I was just like, I don't know. I was just like, which one do I like? Because I just threw out so many earlier. I just like unloaded a bunch of childhood trauma, literally. But yeah, the second one. I've never been to Europe, which is.
Whoa.
Oh my god, okay.
Wow.
Your style would go crazy in your
That's what I mean.
For sure.
I know.
Okay, well, if I'm going to take you to Europe, I don't even care.
I
Like this summer, I'm going. Like I'm
I
literally
know.
just gonna like buy
We're
you a
going.
ticket.
We're
So
going,
you can
for
come meet
sure,
me
for
there.
Pack
sure.
them up in your
Yes.
suitcase.
For sure. And the first one, I actually did it like last week, I think.
Did what?
The exhibition thing.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that just happened?
Oh wait, that just happened.
No
Yeah,
way.
it's the one I like sent you. The one that's like also my birthday.
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I
That's
wanted
so
to go, but
cool.
I wasn't here.
So you're doing a gallery based off of your past work?
Yeah, so I was super jaded one day at lunch after a shoot. And I was just like, I love what I do so much and I never want to like stop doing it, but I also don't want to lose the spark. And I like asked myself, I was like, why did I start this? And I like saw my younger self and like, doing blah, 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 whatever. And my work used to be so much more like fine art and experimental and crazy and weird. And they were rough around the edges. But I think I was featured in so many things being so young without the right resources because it was so experimental and wild and bold, and in a way I felt like I was just screaming through my work. And I admired that so much when I went through my old archives and I was reading my old blog. That was just so fucking dramatic. I was just like who hurt you? I was just like, I was mad over some, I don't know, like it was so dumb. It's like high school drama. But I saw my old work and I admired my vulnerability and strength and anger almost, which
I love that.
I condone so much kindness now, and it's just it obviously there's this whole thing where it's like when artists are no longer sad, their work isn't great anymore. There's like a whole thing, and I never want that to ever be me because I love what I do so much and I want to be happy, obviously. But in the same time, it's like I wanted to find that inspiration. So I dug deep and I started a series called Hourglass, and Hourglass is about honoring my inner child. It's about honoring, the Reinhardt who started it all. And Hourglass ultimately became a whole series with like 11 amazing individuals shot, and they were all so uniquely beautiful, and it referenced a lot of my older work. So it's like I used to go really wild where I would just like liquefy someone's body into a swan, or just the most unhinged shit, literally. And I just like someone with like a third eye and like 3 legs, and like and I took that inspiration and sort of like ran wild with it and made Hourglass, where I feel like now I somehow had the right resources and I'm like kind of like doing that justice. And I felt like when I did an exhibition, which was 2 different days, the first day was art at the art department in West Hollywood. That was more a gallery style. It was a digital gallery style. And the second day at Create, this was a whole immersive style. So we sort of projected all the work onto these giant like walls and ceilings and stuff, and we were all like partying, and then I turned 26 and so it just felt appropriate to honor that inner child. And I think for a series that sort of revolves around time so much, it also completely obliterates it, and it's sort of like it takes out the relevance of it, because I almost feel like I'm referencing a dead artist, in a way, because that's who I was.
I love
But that's
this.
also why I started. That's also why I'm here now. It's because I was so bold and fearless and didn't give a shit. And maybe sometimes I do give a shit now, right? So it's like I kind of want to just tap back into that and just find that raw energy, and Hourglass was born.
So do you feel the most inspired to create, especially like your craziest work, when you're feeling like you're in a low, like you're feeling a lot of emotions and it's maybe like you said, anger or like sadness? Or do you feel like you're most creative when you're the happiest? Because I know that like a lot of artists are very inspired through their darkest moments, and then there's others like me, when I'm at my worst, I don't want to create. I create the best work when I'm the happiest. What parts of your life, especially emotionally, are you most inspired by to create?
I think I used to create better work when I was sad growing up, because I felt like it was a catalyst. It was, and like admitting it now, it was like it was a cry for help. It was a cry for validation. It was, I wanted to belong somewhere in the world. And I think getting that from my work, right? Like growing up, just sort of like gave me my wings at that time, and sort of like start so many things, and being recognized in so many parts of the world, because I'm from Indonesia. So it was just like going to the other side of the world and doing all of these things. And also in the same time being high school, I felt like fucking Hannah Montana, But also in the same time now, I'm in a much healthier place mentally, where I create my best work when I'm happy. And I'm constantly surrounded by so much love, whether that coming from within or from the outside, from, my family and my friends and, my community and acquaintances, like I receive so much love, and that's where I create my best work now, because, ultimately I'm no longer yearning, I'm just creating. So I think it was just such a different time in my life, where I used to cling on to my sadness so much because I needed that push. But now, there's no more push, because I'm, it's like being a fish in like dirty water and then like clean water. You thrive, right? And like, I don't know.
So has your work...
I just love that quote, the being a fish in dirty water versus clean water. I never really thought of it
You
like
don't
that. That's
realize
just a really
it
cool visual.
until you get in the better place. You don't. And it's like, obviously I love all my family and friends back home in Indonesia, but it wasn't a place for me. I couldn't completely flourish into the artist that I'm meant to be in a way that in LA I am able to. So I think, ultimately it is about environment, it is about community, it is about self-growth and self-love. And I don't think people like give that enough credit sometimes, because I think when I learned to love myself finally, that's when everything started happening. That's when the things that were supposed to fall into place start happening, because I was no longer falling apart. I was just falling back together.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
That is good.
snaps. I
I'm just like
I know,
word vomiting
know.
right now. I'm just like
No,
blah, 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 blah.
But that's so
Thank
true.
you,
Because
thank
like,
you,
if you do
thank
not
you.
have that self-love, like, I don't care what anyone says. I mean, obviously there's some things you might not like about yourself, especially on you have bad days. But if you do not have that self-love, like everything else in your life is just slowly gonna fall apart. Like, not to be the bearer of bad news, but
So I'm curious, have you seen your work shift between these two different sides of your life, and like
Yeah.
in what direction? Like,
Absolutely.
has the style changed? Has your concepts behind your shoots changed? Like, how has everything shifted?
Absolutely. So my work used to be much more like fine art, experimental, just weird and crazy. It wasn't necessarily fashion when I was growing up. And I feel like I started seeing a shift when I turned 17. And I've always wanted, the goal was always fashion photography. I grew up seeing like Tim Walker and Nick Knight, you know, like that's who I like looked up to growing up. Lady Gaga, my mom, literally. Like I was inspired by fashion. Alexander McQueen, you know. But I think it didn't start until I turned 17. I like graduated high school, and my mom, who's a fashion designer, she was actually doing fashion for so long already, but it was all just custom work. And she finally took a leap of faith and did her very first collection. We showed in New York. She won like best designer, and our life sort of changed. And that's when I really started doing fashion and, you know, moving to LA and everything. And now it's obviously, it used to be much more like experimental and weird and wild, which I honored in our class, which is so crazy to revisit back and just go ham and wild. But now obviously it's in a much more like very high fashion, but also very like celebrity LA still. Like it's a hybrid of everything, where it's like, I hope in the end of the day, no matter how avant-garde and wild my work is, or no matter how simple and like celebrity it is, I hope it translates that is my work. I think now, stylistically and artistically, I'm much more versatile. So it's like I'm so okay now with having a super high fashion book, an art book that's more experimental, and a celebrity book that's commercial, because I am all for that. Like I love my agents for that. I need them to like direct me and stuff. But it's like the fact that they don't limit me in the things that I'm allowed to do, meaning I can like, you know, focus on like a celebrity book, in the same time do the wildest like photo exhibition of my life, in the same time do a bunch of high fashion shit. I love them and honor them for that, because they are allowing me to grow in multiple ways. And that's why I have multiple agents that, you know, operate differently. But I feel like back then, I was reading my blog, I was like, holy shit, I was very like, I don't live to be like commercial. And I was just like, shut the fuck up. Like, someone has to be boss, you know? Like literally. So, you know, I think because of that, I'm very versatile now, which I love and I'm all for. I think obviously it's not for everyone, but for me, I never want to just be one kind of artist, but I want to make sure that like when you look at my work, no matter if I'm shooting celebrity or fashion or art or anything, you could see that that's Reinhardt fucking Kenneth.
Right.
You know what I'm
love that,
saying?
yes.
Yeah. So
do you have any like do's and don'ts when you go into a shoot? Like if somebody presents to you like, I want you to shoot this, do you have any like, I don't really want to shoot that?
I don't do events. I don't
Okay.
do like I mean, I kind of did live music once, and it was amazing, but it was not for me. It was really fun though. But like, I only like agreed to it because it was very fashion based, and we did a bunch of like. We did like a whole fashion editorial in fucking EDC. It was wild.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, I know.
Wait,
and we
how?
made sure to make it look like more industrial and less like festival.
Wait, how, like at literally at
It
the
was
wildest
literally
festival
the
going on?
wildest
Wait,
week
what year was this?
last year.
Oh my god, I literally like helped produce those festivals. That's crazy.
Oh my god. No, it was
I
just
probably
such
was there like helping you as like
it
a
was
sign
the
at some
wildest
point.
like week of my life last year, because I was like already shooting a bunch of stuff in Vegas, and it was like literally heat wave at this point. I got back to LA because we celebrate I threw this big like masquerade ball, like 25th birthday, so we had to go back for that. We did that, and then like the next morning, which I missed my flight, it was a whole thing. Not because I partied too hard, but because the TSA was so long. But I had to fly into EDC to shoot Zoo, because he did this whole like fashion show set, and it was amazing. And we did like a bunch of fashion editorials, and the photos came out amazing. His team was amazing. He was amazing. They were all amazing. But like, I was so dead, and I made the mistake of wearing all leather in that
Oh my
weather.
God, wait, I'm
No,
having a flashback
no.
right now because
Not in the heat.
this is coming full circle for me. This is kind of like irrelevant, but I'm going to say it anyways. Jay, who we interviewed before, and who was sitting over there, we went to see Zoo, and I remember him pointing out to me, oh, that's my friend up there. He's doing all of that right now on the Zoo set.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool, because I like was taking a break because I wanted to go see Zoo, and that's just, again, kind of irrelevant, but it's just full circle right now that you said that, because Jay was like pointing at you and being like, damn, he
my
looks like he's
God.
gonna sweat.
I was like,
I remember that. Like, I remember that
leather.
comment.
I was like, leather shirt, leather
Stop.
like trench coat, leather
I can
Yeah.
already feel the sweat
pants, leather
going down.
shoes.
That
It
was
wasn't
so
that
cool.
bad. I still smelled like Valentino by the end of the night, so I was like,
Hey.
whatever. And I was just like, I've never been to EDC before that. Like, I'm like,
That was so
yeah.
cool. Like, we were sitting there watching that, and I said, wow, whatever your friend does, he's really cool. That was sick.
So no, we did all of that. Like, it was wild. I got back to LA the next day, and the day after that, we shot Agnes Mo for the cover of Harper's Bazaar, and that was my very first print cover for Harper's Bazaar. Jay was doing video actually,
Yeah, I
and
remember that.
I was so dead that day. If it wasn't for Riel just like literally being my right hand that day, like, oh my God, it was amazing. Like it's one of my favorite photo shoots ever, but it was just so crazy because I was just like on a fucking roll, and.
Yeah, that's a lot back to back.
It is.
That's
And those are like
insanity.
big
Yeah.
projects, big
no,
clients.
literally. And my schedule's like that because I would be like really busy and just like not sleep. And then I would have like another half a month just like not doing anything.
Honestly, I
Like,
love that.
at
And we
all.
talk about that all the time, how we have like
Yeah.
the insane, stressful, chaotic weeks, and then we just need like 3 weeks off.
No, maybe
Yeah.
because it is ultimately radical balance. Because I feel like you know I don't want to be like extremist in what I do, but I feel like as an artist you kind of
kinda
end
have
up
to.
being
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
It's like New York. Like every time I'm in New York for fashion week, I don't sleep because it's like I wake up at like 6-7 a.m. do a shoot till 12, come back and then like change for like my first look, go out, do a few shows, come back, change for my second look, go out and then a few more shows, go back and then like change, and maybe if I have time I'll go out to eat and have my first meal of the day. If I don't, then I'll just go to the after party up till 4 and repeat. And it was like that every day, and I was just running on caffeine and maybe like shots of tequila and a lot of outfit changes. It was, but I love it so much because that's what I live for, and that's why I don't live in New York, because it would not be healthy for me if I lived like that. But it would be a week and then I would go back and just crash.
Yeah.
There's something like
Crash.
intoxicating about those chaotically busy
for
weeks.
sure.
They like make me feel alive. When
Yeah.
you like cannot breathe,
Oh,
you have
no,
so
it was
much
so-
work.
it was so
but then it is
beautiful.
nice because you do have like the 2-3 weeks to like relax. But there
Absolutely.
is like
It's like a
no
drug.
chill
You're
for
restless.
creators.
You're so restless,
Yeah.
and it's like I was just on a roll. And I think by the end of, oh my God, I remember at the end of it, I was so drunk, and I like, oh my God, don't do this. But I didn't rest the
probably
night
done it.
before. I just like went out. I think there was a Louis de Javier show, and we went to Backmire after, and we were just partying there. Got home at 1, packed. And my flight was a red eye, so I didn't sleep, and I just like was gonna take a red eye, and I was just like, I remember I just like put on like my playlist, and there's this one song that just came on, and I just like started calling all my friends, I called Ryan too, and I was just like, I'm in such a good place right now, I'm so happy, and he
so
was like,
cute.
oh, like I'm happy for you too. I was like, you're en route to the Maldives right now. Look at us, we're killing. And he was like, yeah, Reinhardt, we are okay. I have to fly now. Goodbye. It was so funny because it was all the times. And I called my friend Sio, who I was on a trip with, but she had to leave earlier, and she was like, did someone hurt you? I was like, no, I'm just so.
You're like, I'm just so
I'm just so happy. So I'm like literally like packing like 3 big suitcases
Those
of
are
just
the
clothes.
best
I
moments
know,
when you
I was
just
just like-
ball because you're happy and you're
Literally.
proud of yourself.
Literally,
Yeah.
like I feel like I don't even think it's a breakdown now, but like every single like tear up moment I've had lately is just purely like, I'm so happy. Like, so it's been good. It's been good. So yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Dude, you're crazy. I'm like, I didn't
You are
even know that. I
crushing
didn't even know half of these stories before like having you on. I'm like, wow.
It was, yeah. it's wild. I'm always like, oh, I like finally don't have any, and shit starts happening, and I'm like,
That's how it always goes.
And I manifested it, and I'm not gonna say no because one day I won't have that energy to do it.
I think
Yes.
about that all the time too. I'm like,
Literally.
I'm moving to Paris at the end of the month, and I was just telling Jay, I was like, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. That's like has to be the mindset
Yeah.
when you're young,
Absolutely.
especially in your 20s when you're
Absolutely.
trying
Exactly.
everything out, you're
Absolutely.
figuring
You
yourself
try
out.
every possible
You just
thing.
have to send every single opportunity to the max and not look back because like one day you're not gonna have the time or the energy to do it.
Absolutely.
And like
You're not gonna have
full
something.
sends only right
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So to kind of go off what you were just talking about, you had a lot of like really successful, amazing things happen, and you're like at the point where you're crying because you're so happy. Was there ever a point, or maybe talk about the point before that, where you were like, did you ever have a moment where you're like, am I gonna make it? Am I good enough? Like,
Absolutely. Oh my God. There's so many moments where I'm like, again, like as an example, before I did Hourglass, I was jaded as fuck because there was just like things happening, like things that we like solved like after that. But I was just so jaded, and I was just like, why am I doing this? And that's why I keep on revisiting my inner child and asking myself my why, and sort of just like figure out how many W's are eight? I don't know. Like whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Like the who, what, where, when,
how,
why.
whatever.
I think
Everything
it's
else
the 5
comes, but it's like my
Ws.
why, right? And just like searching for that why and sort of just running with it again. I think that's something that I had to constantly keep on doing, because it's like obviously being an artist and being freelance in a way, right? It's not some days you're just like, you're not booking enough work, you're not this, you're not that, and like great, like we all go through it, and I feel like now I radically accept the fact that like if it's for me, it will be for me. If it's not, it won't be. But I used to yearn so much, and I used to like long so much, and I'm always like, oh, like why am I not good enough? Why am I like, I'm comparing myself to other people, and ultimately, and and it's crazy sometimes when I go through these phases, because I have like people from my team asking me all the time, and I like give them these advices, and I'm like, why can't I give it to myself, right? And the thing is, like, I think one thing that I've sort of learned to become better at is to realize that like, your head could be a really loud place, so you have to keep it really kind, and you have to keep it really loving, because ultimately your only competition and your only like your biggest enemy is yourself.
Ooh.
It's not
true.
it's not
I
the
love
next
the way you said that.
photographer. It's not it's not the industry. People like to get so mad at the industry, and while there are some things that I think the industry could be better at, sometimes I feel like we have to dig deep and ask ourselves like, why am I feeling like this? Why am I not this and that? And sort of just realize that and see the answers. And it's like, okay, if it's for me, it's for me. If it's not, then maybe I should find something else. Who knows, And I think understanding that and understanding those factors, and I call it radical acceptance. I think radically accepting the things that are not perfect about your life and about your craft and about your journey is the ultimate healing process. It's the ultimate process of, finding yourself and loving yourself, because no one's life is perfect. No one's work is perfect. No one's journey is perfect. And that's why we're human, and that's why we're all such incredibly different artists.
Oh,
because I used to
literally love you. Like, this is so good.
because
Keep going.
the thing is like, there's so many instances when I was growing up where I wanted to be like this person or that person or whatever. And now I'm just like, I just want to be a better version of myself. I want to keep on growing, and I want to keep on, and that's why, again, like I talk about Hourglass so much because it's so fresh. But I think with Hourglass, it is becoming a better version of my younger self.
So I want to talk about, because a big part of this podcast is giving specific tips on how to grow for younger artists, especially like not gatekeeping things within the industry, because a lot of artists do that, and it's like super annoying. So we're trying to break that boundary. So what are some key tips that you would give to an aspiring fashion photographer, or maybe like must-haves for their portfolio, or like things that they just need to hit in order to get to the next level?
I say this all the time to anyone asking. Everyone's journey is different. When I was starting out, I was very like, is it the chicken first or the egg first? Like, do I get an Asian first, or do I land a big cover first? It was always that. And for so long, for maybe like 9 years, I was trying to figure that out. But I think one of the most important things is to stay true to yourself. I think don't try to become someone else. It's okay to be inspired. It's okay to gain inspiration. It's okay to reference people, but make it your own. Why is this your selection? Why is it this lighting? Why is this its mood? Why is this its tone? Why are you shooting this outfit? Like, ask yourself your whys. I think that's number one. And number two, stay true to yourself in a way where you're not trying to become a trend. You're not trying to follow a trend. You're not trying to become someone that you're not. You're trying to sell out in a way, because selling out isn't like shooting something commercial. Selling out is not aligning what you're working on with your values. That's what selling out is. That's what selling your soul is. Because artists are very emotional people, and I still am. But I think don't let your emotions get the best of you. Don't burn bridges. Stay true to your values and stand up for what you believe in. But in the same time, also understand that there's so many other people in the room that may not agree with you. Yes. And that's okay. And that's what makes it beautiful. And that's what makes you and other people. So it's like, stay true to yourself, but don't be like some artsy-fartsy cunt that like can't cooperate with people. If the client wants A, then like make A your way. You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Yeah, because it's like I want to make sure that no matter what I do, it always feels like Reinhardt Kenneth. But also in the same time, if the client wants pink, I'm not gonna give him green.
Yeah.
You have to be able to adapt. I think adapting is very important. And it's like, this is a very controversial topic, and it just popped on my head. There's such like a whole controversy around like AI art right now.
Oh yeah.
And I say this all the time. It's like the same way we made a shift from analog to digital, right? A lot of people like were angry about that, like in the beginning, and like obviously like ultimately a lot of people had to grow because it's cheaper and like whatever. But I think, as much as you might not agree with it or not want to implement it in your work,
it's going to happen.
Values, it's going to happen. And if you're not going to keep up with your times, like you're going to be left behind.
You have to adapt.
The train's going to keep on.
I was going to say,
you have to.
You have to instead of hating it and being like, well, I don't want to use it, I'm so against it.
Yeah.
Like,
just
look at it and
it.
find a way to use it.
To utilize it
in your own work.
Absolutely.
And if anything, it'll
That's
give
my
you
opinion,
more
yeah.
success long term, because
Exactly.
you're actually learning
Absolutely.
ahead of the curve how to grow with something
Exactly.
that is just going to happen whether or not you want it to
like
happen.
you can't
Absolutely.
stop AI. Like I'm with you on that.
Absolutely. And the thing for me, it's like, if the ship's gonna sail. If you don't keep up with it, then you know what I'm saying?
You're out. You're off the ship.
Bye, because ultimately it's like let's talk about music real quick. Like, there's this whole like AI trend, right? Where like I think like The Weeknd and Drake had like an AI collab that like slapped so hard, and like it was
really?
like doing really I don't know.
It was some. I think it was.
And
But
there's
yeah.
royalty
song?
battles on who's gonna get the money.
Oh.
And it's like Grimes like came up with a tweet, and she was like, for anyone that uses my voice through AI, they're gonna make 50% of it.
Which
is
and
genius.
honestly, like, fuck yeah, dude.
Like that's
Genius.
Because
cool.
first of
Yeah.
all, like, she gets to be like, I love Grimes, but like there's this whole thing where like she's kind of lazy, which like I get it.
Is she really?
Kinda are. It's a whole thing. I hope I don't
Wait,
get
I
canceled
wanna
for
know
that.
more.
I love
No,
Grimes.
no.
I love Grimes to death. Like
Yeah, we love
I
Grimes.
think she is allowed to be whatever she wants to be. We love her, but like in the same time, it's like, imagine just like being able to like have people use your likeness and getting to be able to share profit of that, and not being some artsy fartsy fucker who's going to like start this whole thing. Because let's be real, people steal.
Yeah,
people will steal.
they
It's
do.
a thing. Instead of going to court for it, why don't you just like split it in the middle? Because it's like, if someone's gonna use you for your likeness, might as well profit from it.
True.
But also, like what you're saying, I don't know the exact tweet, but if she did that, where like use my voice and like see what you can make with it,
And she's gonna
that
split
just-
50-50,
That just
literally.
opens the door for so many people who never get the opportunity to even
talk to her.
even talk to her,
Exactly.
to even have like a good vocal to use.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, even if people make songs and the songs are shit, like at least they still get to practice and they still get to literally practice their art.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like, obviously, it's like taking the whole like remixing to like a whole new level.
Yeah.
Because you're practically producing. And I think it's really sad sometimes when I like think about it, of how many incredible talented people there are out there who don't have the same opportunities as us. And I just want to take a moment and like, I feel like we don't do this enough, but like acknowledge our privilege. Because it's like, you know, privilege, like, I think it's so wrong to like not acknowledge that sometimes, and not acknowledge the opportunities and the blessings that we have, like all of us in this room, to be able to be creatives in LA and to be doing what we love. I think it's such an incredible, beautiful thing. And this might be like controversial to like even like think about it that way, but like I feel like because like when my friends are doing well, I'm like just so happy for them.
Same.
And I only want to surround myself around people like that. And the fact that they would get upset over those kind of things. Like, I could be having a bad day and my friend would, like, you know, I don't know, win a Grammy or something. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, you'd like start crying for them. You'd be like, let's go.
Just pure happiness. Like, no jealousy, no this or that, no like, oh, they like, none of that.
That's
like,
what I was trying to say. You said it better.
For people. I just like genuinely want the best for people, especially people that I love. Because like you are ultimately, and this is such a cheesy quote that everyone says all the time, you are the people you surround yourself with.
100%.
You know, and I want to be surrounding myself with people who are going to constantly grow. I want everyone in my tribe, in my team, in my everything to be doing so well. Like I tell people on my team all the time, I want you to eventually like stop working with me because you're doing so well and you're too busy. You know, I was like, I want people to do well, and I genuinely wish people well. And you know, I used to be a complete different person, but now I just don't want to have a single jealous bone in my body, because there really is room for everyone. There is room for growth for everyone. There's room for success for everyone. There's so many fucking opportunities out there, and if that's for you, that will be for you, and if it's for someone else, I don't want to take it. I don't want to take someone else's opportunity the same way I don't want someone else to take my opportunities. I think, you know, we have to find that balance, and I think, you know, again, it is a form of radical acceptance. It is a form of radical, you know, support, and just I want the people that I love, or the people that I loved maybe, to do well.
So on that, I think that's a really interesting point, because I think typically a lot of artists, especially even in LA, people, because it is a very saturated industry, people think that there's not enough opportunity and that it is a competition, and it can be overly saturated, but that doesn't mean that there's not opportunities for everyone, and there is room for everyone to be successful. And I think it's important to acknowledge that, and thank you for mentioning that, because I think people get they're so hard on themselves, especially when they're first starting, thinking like, I have to compete with all these people around me, and like everyone's so successful around me, and I'm not growing and they are, and like you can get into a toxic mindset. And I imagine you're around a lot of successful people all the time. So how did you get to the point of just not comparing yourself to other people and just focusing on the fact that there is opportunity for everyone?
I think when I learned to love myself, that was such a big turning point for me, because it was such a whole, like, it was a whole thing where I was just looking at myself in the mirror and I was just like, I'm gonna learn to love myself, and I did. And it felt, you know, but it wasn't. It was 24 years of my life of self-loathing. That I didn't realize, and I thought moving to LA and suddenly like doing all these things and looking better and becoming better and everything was gonna fix that, but it wasn't. It had to change from within, and no amount of validation, unless it comes from self-love, will ever bring you there. I know so many people that aren't happy and they're doing so well, but I think that's when I truly realized that my biggest enemy is me. To quote Lady Gaga. It is me. My biggest enemy is me, and that is my competition, and I'm going to be in a healthy competition with myself, because the only comparison I should have is with who I was, and who I will be should be better than who I am now.
I know.
Sounds like a Disney Channel.
No,
but it's so true. It's so true.
No,
You're
like,
preaching right now.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately for me, that's my biggest turning point. When I was editing one of the photos for Hourglass, it was called Halcyon, which basically relates to a happy time of your life. That's what the word means, basically. It was my first photo that sort of, well, it wasn't my first, but it was like one of the first big moments of my then career, where I was featured on the front page of the website for Vogue Italia for best photo of the day. Ended up like being one of the best photos of the month, and you know, the editor-in-chief of Vogue like chose this, so it was such a big thing. And I remember I shot one of my best friends back then next to my schoolyard, just throwing all these books and with her hair flying, and it was just us back then. But that shot was so magic, and it started everything, and I still have it on my website till today. But when I when I was doing hourglass, like all the weird experimental stuff, I had it on lock. But when I saw Halcyon, I was just like, I didn't even know if I wanted to do that because it was such a magical shot, and I didn't know that I could capture that anymore because I was no longer like sad. You know, there was like a sad moment of my life. It reflected so much of my youth and my, I guess I hate using the word innocence, but I was, you know, young and wild and whatever back then, and I felt like I couldn't capture that. So when I was able to sort of do that justice and capture that here and shot one of my amazing music with Sky, who was the only person I literally trusted with that. It was such an emotional moment, and I remember when I was editing it, one Monday morning after a whole weekend of partying, it was like everything was coming together. It was like the post-Coachella blues. It was like everything. Like I just felt everything that day, and I just remembered I was editing it, and I was listening to this song, and I just start bawling. Just like as I was editing, the whole 3 hours I was editing, I was bawling.
Wait, what song was it?
I think it was like the whole like Nurture album from Porter Robinson, which is such an important healing album for me. I was so mad. I missed him at Coachella. I was so mad.
Like,
I was so
Porter Robinson,
mad.
hire him.
I was so mad. But it was such an important album, and it spoke so much. But it was a lot of yearning, and it was a lot of healing. And I think when I was just listening to that, and I think I was looking at where I was back then and where I am right now, and I was just sort of like referencing that and seeing the side by side and seeing that both shots were just as magical. And it was also crazy because back then I had black hair and now I'm blonde, and the girl in the photo, like, you know, that was, you know, maybe in a way representation of my youth, right? My friend back then had dark hair and Sky has blonde hair. Like, we were so specific about the styling. I literally was telling the hairstylist, I was like, I want 2012 Tumblr, like, tie-dye, like, literally, like, hair chalk hair, but make it, like, fashion. And she was like, okay. Like, they were literally chalking her extension. It was so funny. It was back to, like, 2012, like, 2013, like, Tumblr, like, era where everyone had a mustache tattoo. I hope you guys didn't have that. That was amazing.
I actually did draw it on my finger once for a photo.
Were you like?
And I was like that.
Oh my god. Was it like hashtag just girly things or whatever?
Yeah, it was so weird.
So
it was so weird.
I love it.
It was such a weird time.
It was a very weird time. And I
kind of miss that era sometimes.
Yeah, it used to be really weird.
It was so much more simple.
Mustache
tattoos and all.
And it's like having a blog back then made you cool.
Yeah, Tumblr. I miss the Tumblr days. I love
my like Tumblr was so like unnecessarily edgy.
Really?
My name was Cocaine and Caviar. Like, what the hell?
I'm dead. How old were you?
I think mine like surrounded like Lady Gaga and Pokemon and fashion.
I'm dead.
I was like,
I'm
so
different. Oh my god, I remember there was this whole thing where I think there was a site called lookbook.nu or something, and you were
I
like,
feel like I kind of know that site.
Yeah, and like everyone just like had their like outfits from like Call of War, like, oh my god, it was so bad. But I remember I felt so edgy because I wore all neon, and I called myself Nintendo Kid because I wore a Nintendo DS.
Oh, shut up.
I had like my pink Nintendo DS because I felt so cool, and I was like holding it like a clutch. And I'm looking back, I was just like, you weren't even like holding like the old school, and I was like, I'm a 90s kid. I was born in 97. Like, bro, like, stop.
I like you said you had it as a clutch.
I had like neon, I had neon braces. I was like,
oh, so you really went
neon
all
braces.
neon.
I forgot about those.
Dude, I had braces. This is a side note, but I had braces, and I'm pretty sure. Did you have the expander where you had to like put the key in and twist it?
No, I had like the dentist that had to do it every month, but I was so bad. I would like miss 2-3 months.
I think mine gave me lockjaw.
And like my parents would always just be like, just get the clear ones because it's already so much.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, I want the top one to be teal and the bottom one to be pink.
Oh, you were. Like, it has to match my Nintendo. So I'm curious because you obviously have a very crazy, wild life. I'm sure that translates onto set. Do you have any like crazy, wild, or just weird stories from you on set?
Yeah. It was like a trip. So it was like a one-night stay in Big Bear.
Okay.
And it was really fun because like the client really wanted snow. And that's the closest thing to snow we can get in California. And it was like kind of at the end of the snow, whatever. we got there on Friday and the shoot was on Saturday. So we got there, stayed the night, and then like left on Saturday. I remember my friend Ugo was assisting me, and we were like, we like the house was like set up really weird. So
Okay.
the cabin was set up really weird. Cause so you go in the cabin, and it was my room right away, and you go up, and it's like the living room, which my other team member, my other assistant, Matt was staying at like in a giant inflatable bed
Okay.
in the living room, and then the hair and makeup artist, one of my best friends, Carissa, was bedding with Ariana, who's also like assisting me for that shoot, and on the top floor was the client and her best friend. And
Okay.
it was a fun trip. Everyone was great. We were watching House Moving Castle. It was great. Oh, it was such a great trip. And then when we were gonna sleep, like me, Ariana, and Ugo were still hanging out in this room. And then like, I grew up kind of spiritual, and I like used to be able to see things growing up, but I felt like a really weird presence
Oh, no.
by like this mirror like wardrobe thing, and then I also felt like I needed to like lock the door, because like the door next to my bed was literally like the entrance to the cabin.
That's so
You
odd.
know? And then I also felt something really odd, like looking at, so me, Ariana, and Ugo ended up rooming together because it was so scary. We were all supposed to room differently, but we all just stayed together because it was so scary,
Okay.
And I remember Ugo was just like, "Can you lock the door? I feel like something is like," and honestly, we started talking about it. We started talking about all the things we felt. We all felt something by like the mirror. And where I'm from, their superstition is you can't sleep next to a door or to a mirror, because they're gateways.
Oh,
They're
and
like
your
portals to
room was
another
exactly
world.
that?
Literally, my bed was literally next to a door, and I like locked it. We felt really weird, and I kid you not, they were both falling asleep. I kid you not, I look outside, and there was this really cool house that we were driving up to, and it was like all black. Like it was this all black house. It was so chic. It was probably on your Tumblr.
Okay.
Like that house is probably
It's
on your
probably
Tumblr.
cocaine
Literally,
caviar.
literally. It was so cool. And I was like, oh my god, I want a house like that. Whatever. I took it back real quick. I saw this really tall woman with like Baphomet horns, just like looking
What?
into the house, just like staring. And I was just like, okay, I'm gonna sleep. I have a morning shoot. And I remember the next day, I called one of my best friends, Emily, who's this incredible metal artist. And I was like, dude, I saw this like really tall, like white woman with like Baphomet horns. She was like, bitch, that was me trying to say hi, I missed you. And we're all just laughing. But I remember we all just started talking about it, and I feel like the shoot ended up being amazing, by the way, but we wanted to leave right away.
Oh my God.
And the next day there was
That's
this
so
crazy
funny.
snowstorm happening there. It was just so, had we not stayed,
so
had we
funny.
stayed another day, we would be stuck.
Oh my
In that
god.
haunted house.
In the haunted
It would be
house.
American Horror Story. Literally.
American Horror Story,
Literally.
Big Bear.
Or
Oh my
like
god,
some
that's funny.
indie like horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Low budget.
Low budget.
Low budget. Bad prosthetics.
I love
Literally.
that.
She was like, I just miss you. I just wanted
like-
to say hi, bitch. I was like,
You're like, don't do it that way.
no, literally.
Like the anxiety you put me through.
Well, it wasn't her.
Oh.
It wasn't my friend.
Oh.
No, it wasn't my friend.
Oh,
no,
I
she
thought
wasn't.
that was
no,
actually
no.
her.
No. This was like 3
Oh, she was just joking.
She was in LA. I think she was in LA. Yeah. No, she was joking.
Oh, so there was actually some
No,
crazy
she wasn't on
horned
the trip.
like
She
white
wasn't on the
bitch there.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry.
I'm not allowed to say that, but yeah. No, but yeah. No. It was like she was just making fun of it, but yeah, it all happened.
Oh my gosh.
And I think at one point we saw like 666 somewhere. I was like, okay, good night.
Oh, I
was
feel
like-
like we need Jay's insight back
I
over
know.
here to like.
I know. I was
Keep-
like, we were just trying
keep
to watch
it
House
at the
Moving
badge.
Castle and drink White Claws.
This whole episode, we've talked a lot about like self-love and working on yourself and getting to a better place, and like your art shifting in a better direction because of your mindset and like mental health getting in a better place. Off of that, what is the best advice you've ever received, and how did it affect your either personal or career in a positive way?
My mom told me to, no matter what, no matter how good you're doing, no matter how successful you get, no matter how, like no matter if you're shooting cover of Vogue, literally, which will happen soon, to always be humble. I think humility, when I start to practice it more, better things start coming. when I stopped comparing myself to other people, when I stopped like doing all these toxic things, incredible things happen. And I feel like I manifest such good energy and I surround myself with good energy. And when I cut out so many bad people in my life that didn't want to wish me well, all the energies that weren't serving me for the good, and it was just not, like I wish people well and it's not reciprocated back. It was when I truly like cut all those ties off and remain humble and stayed focused, but also in the same time understood that I need to take time for myself to be kind to myself and to be kind to others. I think that was when I had a giant turning point. And I think that's one advice, no matter how successful or, like bumpy the roads get, just always remain humble, never compare yourself to other people, always love yourself and always heal yourself and always take time for yourself and always be kind to yourself and always honor the people who are there for you, who wish you well, because those are the only true people that has your back, and I think ultimately that humility will take you a long way.
That's so beautiful.
I love
That's
that.
beautiful because it's so applicable.
Also be confident. I'm not
absolutely.
because humility isn't like not believing in yourself. Humility is the biggest form of confidence you can have.
I completely
When someone
agree.
is arrogant or cocky, it's because they're actually not confident.
'Cause
They
they're
have
insecure,
something to prove, and you see it right away. It's like there's a difference, right? Because obviously we're all artists. We live in a social media age. We all have portfolios, right? And that should speak enough about my work, about my character, about who I am as a person. And if I explain something to other people, it will be out of love for my craft, not out of the need to prove myself. Of course, if someone's a bitch, I'll probably put them into place. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm
That's-
saying?
There's
Yeah.
a difference between ego and confidence.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And like
because
yeah.
ego is so unattractive.
Yeah, it's
and
horrible.
It's like
and that will never open doors.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's like the biggest turn off.
Absolutely. And the thing is, sometimes, in the end of the night, I always like pray and I'm always like, oh my God, like, like realizing the things that I'm doing, I think is the biggest blessing of them all, because I think, again, radical acceptance, accepting the good and the bad, right? But when you like realize there's so much good things happening, sometimes it still feels like a surreal fever dream, and I'm just waiting to wake up and I'm back to being 14 and like I'm like submitting to Vogue and I just like woke up and I'm like, oh my God, that was one big dream. Or like maybe we're all just in a simulation and I'm gonna wake up.
That'd be a crazy movie.
I know,
would.
but
It
it's
really
like
would.
at least no matter what will happen, I just know I will wake up being grateful because that was one wild ride, and acknowledging that like no matter what, I have a lot of people to thank, but I think within it's that inner child that I have to thank. It's that inner child that took a leap of faith. And I used to look at my older work and feel very like, oh my God, like, this is so bad or whatever. But now I'm like, no, it was just a mood board for who I am right now.
I love that. That's cute.
It's like, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it was a mock-up. It was a mock-up, it was a vision board, and now I'm executing it. And with Hourglass or with Harper's Bazaar or with anything that I'm doing right now, I think ultimately looking at that, I manifested this so long ago, and I went through so many bumpy roads to get where I'm at right now. But as I am getting to where I will ultimately be one day, I just want to reference that and just realize that inner child was what started it all, and I never want to lose it.
Oh, that's such
I
a good
know.
full circle
I
from where
know.
we began, and you talking about referencing your childhood artist, and now all
Bring
of
it
this
back.
Yeah, it's like perfect
Yeah.
full circle.
You
Thanks
are
so good.
incredible.
So many quotes. You're very quotable.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh God, I'm gonna watch this and be like, oh my God, what was I doing?
No,
My God.
No.
So
I
this
probably
is
like
good.
sound like Julia Fox. She's like, Uncut Gems, yeah. Literally, like I
not
always
at
like picture
all.
myself sounding like
Not
that.
at
No, I think a lot of people are gonna really fall in love with this interview and how you just spoke about yourself and your emotions, and you gave such great advice and so much value.
Yeah, I'm just talking on the emotional side, which is something that all creators feel.
Yeah.
Like we are innately like emotional creatures, I think, when you're
Especially artists.
Oh,
Artists
yeah,
are so
100%.
emotional.
So
We're
I think
so emotional.
this will be very relatable for a lot of people, and we've never really talked about this. So
Yeah.
this is really beautiful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming
Thank
on.
you for having me.
Yes.
This is such an honor.
Okay, so on that note, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Shoot Your Shot. Thank you again, Reinhardt.
Thank you.
Yes. Stay tuned next week. Follow us on all our socials. Claire, do your usual plug. Plug away.
Plug away.
Plug away.
Leave us a rate and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Give us a follow, subscribe, like, comment on YouTube. We want to get the YouTube poppin'.
On stories.
Share on all the stories. At Shoot Your Shot Podcast _ on Instagram. Shoot Your Shot Podcast on TikTok. And yeah, just share this episode with everyone you know.
And follow Reinhardt. I know we
plug your Instagram again.
I know we did it earlier, but do it again because you guys need to follow him.
Absolutely. Follow me on Instagram. It's at Reinhardt Kenneth, ReinhardtKenneth. And don't forget to be kind and love yourself.
Yes.
So important, you guys. So important.
that.
So important.
Beautiful. Mwah.
Don't be a cunt. Thank you.
All right, we'll see you in the
Thank you
next
so much.
episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye.